table, you've got the front block facing you, and I'm now going to take the pins out of the shoulder seam and the pins out of the side seam, like so, and then open it up and lie one on top of, partially one on top of the other, so you can see the whole thing laid out more or less flat, because obviously we haven't dealt with the darts yet, but just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So you can now take the pins out of your darts, and you'll then see that you've got the pencil marks either side. Remove the pins from the back waist dart, so you can flatten out the whole back block. And you're now going to do what's called squaring up. And I briefly touched on this before, so I'm going to explain it again at the centre back neck. Squaring up is recreating the right angle between your straight grain down the centre back and the beginning of the centre back neck. And it applies to every seam corner. So it really doesn't matter which way round you do this, whether you're going to put all your seam corners in first and then come back to putting in the rest of the curve of the neck, which is the bit here, or whether you want to work round in rotation. It's entirely up to you. Come down towards the dart. Actually, I'm going to change that, the angle of the ruler here. I'm going to draw this section of the dart side in first. And then the other side. And I was reading a book the other day on couture dressmaking and the anatomy of a dart, and the lines of either side of a dart are called the legs, and the section in the centre that you sew away is called the uptake. So you can now draw down to that one, and you can see that the pencil line on the stand has slipped back slightly. So you are going to have to, and this does happen in modelling, you're modelling something three-dimensionally on a block, so you take it straight, and this side of the dart it's fine, and down to there, square off again and come round the armhole and keep a decent shape. I'm going to come across there, which is the underarm of the side seam, and square off there, and then follow that through to the waist. And then come back up to the remaining section of that armhole, and then you come down to the next section, smooth it out, square off at the waist again there, and again at the centre back. And finally, for this section, you're going to draw up the sides of this dart. So that's the back bodice squared up. And the next stage, which I'll demonstrate in a moment, is to trace that off onto pattern cutting paper and add seam allowances to that, which forms your pattern. Here's the front block, and you start by taking the pins out of your darts, exactly as you did with the back. Flatten it out. And again, it's the same principle of squaring up, checking that that one is squared off to the centre front, and coming up to the shoulder and neckline one and checking that, and then coming round the neck. Sometimes it's easier to do it in small stages without a ruler. And then you're going to come across the shoulder line to that side of the dart, and then the other side of the dart, the remaining section of shoulder line, and then draw your line down towards the end of the dart, so you then draw in the other side of the dart, and the next stage is to draw around the line for the armhole. Now you can again square up at the corner and start working down into the curve. So you've come down about this far, and then you can turn the pattern master to give you a curve of the armhole here. This is designed to replicate the front armhole, and the other end, that end, replicates the back. You don't have to use them. Some people find it perfectly adequate to go. That was Rosie, in case you were wondering. The noise is off here. Yes, as I was saying, you don't have to use the curves. Some people like them, some people don't. And as long as you end up with a good line round the armhole that has got a good curve here, that's fine. So we're going to square this one up down the side seam into the waist, back up to the underarm, and then heading for the centre front waist, check that that's squared up to centre front. And to side waist, and then you're going to draw in both sides of the waist dart. That's the squared up front bodice.